Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules, and they have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them. About the only thing you can't do is ignore them, because they change things. They push the human race forward. While some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius. Because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do.
Hello there. Today we will deep dive into Square Crypto, Jack Dorsey, and his possible involvement with Zenon Network. Let's start by getting to know Jack Dorsey. Jack Patrick Dorsey is an American billionaire technology entrepreneur and philanthropist, who is the co-founder and the CEO of Twitter, and the founder and CEO of Square, a financial payments company.
I never really wanted to be an engineer. I was a hacker, and am a hacker, and I kind of do whatever it takes to make it work. I think I'm a really good listener. I think I'm very patient, and I'm very stubborn. Patience and stubbornness go really well together. I'm through and through like a hustler and a hacker, and I just do whatever it takes to make it work and just go the next step and the next step and the next step. And I have so much respect and appreciation for that. And one of the things I've learned over time is how you have to balance that with the deliberateness.
All right. Let's get to know this genius, this philanthropist and this entrepreneur better. Jack is best known for as the co-founder and CEO of Twitter. He came up with the initial idea for Twitter when he was an undergrad at NYU, and then ended up dropping out of college one semester short of graduating. He is also a co-founder and current CEO of Square, which is an American financial services and digital payments company based in San Francisco, California.
When I was 13 or 14, I grew up in St. Louis, Missouri. Missouri is in the middle of the United States. It's considered a flyover state, which means that people just fly over it. They don't really stop there. And certainly no one lives there, but I live there and my parents live there. And I was really proud of my city. St. Louis is a tough city to live in. It's the highest homicide rate in the country. It has a lot of conflict, a lot of contention. The city was destroyed in the 50s and 60s because everyone moved out. It's always been left behind, but yet it had a very significant soul to it that was powerful, and it has some special qualities that no one was really aware of, which is why I asked this question about Ethiopia. One of the qualities it had is it has this pretty interesting geography in that it's in the middle of the country. It's considered the gateway to the West, and when the internet was forming, you had MIT and then you had Stanford, and the two needed to link up, and we didn't have a lot of satellites and whatnot, so it was all through the phone lines and whatnot. And the way to link up was through St. Louis, and there's a school called WashU. And back then, when my dad brought home a computer, I just had to figure out how to make this thing do my bidding. I just wanted to learn everything about it. So I taught myself how to program. I taught myself my way around it, and figuring out like how to take it apart from a software perspective and a hardware perspective, and found all the holes and whatnot. And I became a hacker, more or less. And that led me to figure out how to get into the WashU systems, and that led me to this thing called the internet. And on the internet, I found all this source code, and I found all these really interesting communities and things like Usenet and IRC, and people sharing their work in the open. And that's how I learned how to program. And eventually it led me to New York City, and I was writing dispatch software for 9/11 emergency services and taxis and black cars. And
Square purchased approximately 3,318 bitcoins, expanding on its October 2020 buy of 4,709. Bitcoin represents about 5% of the company's total assets as of the end of 2020. Now let us hear it from him. The following clips will help you gauge how optimistic Jack is about blockchain technology and Bitcoin.
This kind of digital currency would redefine the nature of money, so become the main currency of the world, as opposed to being tied to fiat currency of different nations, and sort of really push the decentralization of control of money.
Definitely. Just a high level principle. People need to own their own data. And I think the technology to allow that to happen across service lines, across company lines, did not exist until recently with the blockchain. I think the blockchain presents a new opportunity for us to create identity wallets for people. And then you get to choose what services get to read from it and also get to write from it. And you can turn that off at any time. I think it's one of those ideas that needs to happen as quickly as possible, and it leads to so many other beneficial things in our space. Blockchain is interesting because for the first time we have this this database that is resistant to environments that have zero trust. Like, we actually have a system that can work in trustless environments. And that's a very, very powerful concept, and it can be resilient to that. And the internet and computer science has never seen anything like it. And I think blockchain might have even more impact for us in the positive than AI does. AI might have some negative things in comparison. Short-term plans and then the longer-term plans. The short-term plans is we, as a company, cannot act like an internet company. An internet company can launch something and publish a website or publish an app, and the whole world can use it. We have to go market by market, have a relationship with a bank, have a relationship with the regulators, change our entire flow for all these different markets. It took us like 9 months to open in this country, even though we had all the technology built. It took us almost a year and a half to open in Japan, because we were the first time you could actually accept credit cards without doing an in-person government visit. Australia took 2 years because we found out that the banks also make point-of-sale systems and they didn't want us in the market, so they pushed the regulators to keep us out. So, like, it's just a mess. So on the short term, we have to conserve our resources and go market by market by market by market, and do all these trade-offs around, like, what is the benefit. And the only rubric we used is what are the biggest economies in the world, and just go down the list. So we started with U.S., skip China, went to Japan, went to Australia, and tried to get, we thought we were smart by trying to get in the EU through England, and then that whole we're in England now, but now we have to go back to the EU and go through Paris or France or Spain. So that, for a payments company, it kind of sucks, because it's just like it's a crazy slow process. Something like Bitcoin changes this completely, because if the world has one currency, you don't have to go market by market by market. You can actually launch something and the whole world could potentially use the same thing. So for the long term, that's why we're pushing so much on Bitcoin and crypto. Is like we need to see this as a currency. We need to see this as a global currency, because it solves a bunch of our needs. It's also what the internet wants. Yeah, fascinated and excited by cryptocurrency and Bitcoin in particular. And I've also had the opportunity to meet a bunch of folks who are also interested in cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. And the reason I think it's really important here for Africa is because, unlike the United States, there's not as much urgency in terms of the practicality and the need and the necessity. So it feels like that urgency and that necessity will drive to much deeper outcomes and things that will benefit the entire world, not just the countries within Africa. The blockchain is a ledger, and our business is around having a credible ledger. So we're actually using the blockchain internally right now, and I'm sure it has other applications internally. Is this a unique and efficient solve for that problem? and then we're going to be doing a ton with Bitcoin and crypto generally. But yeah, we are using it today because it fit perfectly, because it actually solved one of our biggest operational challenges, which is a ledger in real time.
So what does the future of Square look like in sort of giving people access in all kinds of ways to being part of the economy as merchants and as consumers?
I believe that the currency we use is a huge part of the answer, and I believe that the internet deserves and requires a native currency, and that's why I'm such a huge believer in Bitcoin, because our biggest problem as a company right now is we cannot act like an internet company. Open a new market, we have to have a partnership with a local bank. We have to pay attention to different regulatory onboarding environments. A digital currency like Bitcoin takes a bunch of that away, where we can potentially launch a product in every single market around the world, because they're all using the same currency. And we have consistent understanding of regulation and onboarding and what that means. So I think the internet continuing to be accessible to people is number one, and then I think currency is number two. And it will just allow for a lot more innovation, a lot more speed in terms of what we can build and others can build, and it's just really exciting. So I mean, I want to be able to see that and feel that in my lifetime.
Okay, now let's jump down the rabbit hole. Zenon Network could be possibly linked to Jack Dorsey and Square Crypto. In fact, it could well be Jack Dorsey's super secret project. This could be the biggest thing in crypto. Please note, everything here is just speculation. In the following, you will see the semiotics. Let's begin. Zenon Network and Square Crypto both have a Twitter account. They're both only following half in, that's Hal Finney. Not sure if you are aware, but Hal Finney was the recipient of the first Bitcoin transaction. Also, Halfin's Twitter account is the very first one that tweeted about Bitcoin in early 2009. Many facts point to Hal Finney being Satoshi Nakamoto. In August 2014, Hal Finney was declared dead due to ALS, and he has become an early adopter of human cryopreservation, the process of freezing human bodies so that they can be revived later. His body currently rests at Alcor Life Extension Foundation. So we never know. We may see him come back in our lifetime. But that's not what we want to dig up. Let's move on. Having an anonymous team is just the first step. The torch has to be passed to the community, and that's exactly what Zenon Network is trying to achieve. Community was Square Crypto's third tweet. It was deleted later on. Square Crypto emphasizes community, so does Zenon Network. This is the way they pass the torch, by building a community team while staying entirely anonymous. No central authority. On the 21st of March, Jack Dorsey tweeted about hiring 3 to 4 crypto engineers and 1 designer. On the 15th of May, Xenon tweeted about shortlisting the 4 developers, 2 community managers, 1 content creator, and 1 graphic designer. On the 22nd of May, Square Crypto tweeted about being really close to their first hire. The individuals hired are still unknown. Coincidence? Probably. Let's move on. In the pursuit of decentralization of the geographical distribution, Zenon Network is exploring the possibility of integrating a satellite-dedicated SDK for pillars. You may wonder, what is a pillar? They represent the foundation layer of the network. Pillars participate in the consensus protocol and hold information about network transactions. Some more coincidence again. On the 3rd of May, Square Crypto tweeted about Elon Musk, just one day before SpaceX tweeted about the Dragon being on its road to the International Space Station. Some tweets from Square Crypto strangely match the Zenon Network project narrative. Zenon Network might have come up with these before Square Crypto even started to tweet. But there is more. Let's have a deeper look at the dates and see what we can get out of these. Square Crypto was registered on Twitter on March 2019. Square Crypto first tweets are from late March 2019. The Zenon Network domain was registered in April 2018. Zenon Network was registered on Twitter on May 2018. Zenon Network's first tweet is from the 20th of March 2019. A few hours later there was a tweet from Square Crypto, waving hello. 2018. Vortex is a massive Bitcoin OG. He opened a poll about the Lightning Network app's name. Another interesting match. The devil is in the details. Crappy and low-end amateur projects usually use Cloudflare to build websites with cheap graphism and generic code. Zenon Network website has a clear, well-written code, based on unique graphisms and animations. It also uses Cloudflare, but uses StackPath to serve JavaScript contents, which is also used by Square Crypto's website. Most likely another coincidence. Let's move on. There are many more breadcrumbs left by Zenon and Square Crypto in the past. By now, you may have realized how 321 is significant to Jack Dorsey. Let's jump to 2021. On March 5th, Zenon tweeted a cryptic message. Not really, but a set of binary codes, when decoded leads to 321. With high expectancy, something was about to happen on March 21st. And it did. Zenon launched their public testnet. The fact is the team chooses to remain anonymous, and most likely that will never change. When asked about it, Zenon said, "There can be no true decentralization with a public figure in charge." True. Also, there could be many reasons for that choice. One is to avoid personal liability. Another is to avoid regulatory issues. Most know what happened to Facebook's Libra.
When Mark Zuckerberg testified to Congress, they were asking him all these inane questions about Facebook and its operation, and you were like, what are you talking? Like it wasn't like a surprise visit, you know what I mean? They theoretically knew he was coming and could prepare.
Yeah.
There are currently 9,000 plus cryptocurrencies out there. It is very difficult to spot which ones are scams. A good proof that Xenon is not a scam is xstakes, where initially people sent Bitcoin to Xenon and received it back along with Xenon coins over a set period of time. No scam project would return millions worth of Bitcoin back to the people. Xstakes was very innovative and unique. There are detailed articles explaining how it worked. Suggest you'll read them to know more. I will link them in the description below. So to conclude, aside from so many coincidences and dots connecting to Square, there are a few things to note. Xenon did not do xstakes for the money, they got almost nothing and did no effort to get more, while distributing back the little that they did get. The project is backed by some other resources, most likely some corporate. The team is very knowledgeable and professional. There is innovation coming, Bitcoin smart contracts, pillars, new type of DLT, academic-backed technology. Lastly, speculation aside, I personally am a big fan of Jack Dorsey. His generosity and willingness to make the world a better place is on another level.
Just the seriousness of this crisis led you to do something that is singular in our entire country, which is you've pledged $1 billion in philanthropy to a combination of COVID relief, helping girls and women in universal basic income. And Jack, I got to say, you see that headline. I remember you texted me when you were announcing it. I was like, I got chills. I told you, I was like, that is the greatest thing I've ever seen, because $1 billion, at the time it was reported to be something like 28% of your net worth. Yeah. And so people look up and if you're worth several $1 billion, which you are, it's an unfathomable amount of money to the vast majority of people. But then everyone can understand 28% of one's net worth. What drove you to such a massive commitment that really is singular right now in our society?
Well, I think there are a lot of people doing things privately, but I thought it was important that we added more transparency to this.
Once again, the connections between Xenon and Square are just speculation. One should do your own research. If you like my work, please consider subscribing to the YouTube channel. Like and share this video with your friends and family.